Hey everyone, welcome back to another review. Today we'll be taking a look at this Huayangosaurus, which is a new model from PNSO. This Huayangosaurus is one of 6 figures that came out from PNSO about a month ago. Those 6 figures were originally part of a box set called 7 Little Chinese Dinosaurs, which was originally a China Post exclusive, and now PNSO has decided to release those figures singly now. The 7th figure in that set, the Sinosauropteryx, has already been released at the beginning of the year as part of the mini collection line. So even though these 6 new figures are really small in size, they're not considered part of the mini collection. They've actually repackaged these figures in the Prehistoric animal models line, which is kind of that mid-size line that PNSO came out with a couple months ago with the Spinops, the Ankylosaurus, and the Stegosaurus. So since I have the packaging in hand, each of these figures come in their own little collector box, and you get a nice full art picture of the Huayangosaurus on the front of the box. This Stegosaurus name is Luxie, and for the rest of the video, I'm calling this dinosaur Luxie because I've done so many takes trying to pronounce Huayangosaurus that I'm getting a little tired of it, so we'll be referring to this dinosaur as Luxie from now on. So as you can see, you get a nice picture of Luxie on the front of the box, and these boxes are actually a really nice sturdy cardboard material. Yeah, there's a little bit of a dent right here, but compared to what the Ankylosaurus and Spinop figures, what their boxes look like when I received them, these are much stronger than those figures. And on the other side, same picture, and some product information on the bottom, and that is about it. It does come with a little educational pamphlet, but for some reason I can't find it. Sometimes my wife comes into my studio and likes to clean things up and put things in places where I can't find them, so I can't show you guys the pamphlet right now. So getting back to Luxie here, Luxie is one of the earliest known stegosaurs. It's from the mid-Jurassic period of China, about 165 million years ago. Luxie is one of the smallest species of stegosaurs. Adults were around 15 feet long. So since we're talking about length, let's do a quick measurement. This figure is about 4¼ inches long from the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail, or about 108 millimeters, and about 1½ inches tall to the highest plate on its back. And with those measurements, that would put this figure somewhere in the 142 scale range, which really isn't a bad scale. I know a lot of people like to collect their dinosaur figures somewhere in that 140 scale range, so this figure could scale pretty well if you're into collecting that size range. The pose of this figure isn't really much to talk about. It's just a standard neutral pose. Just got all 4 feet in the ground with the head looking to the side and the tail curving to the other side. The colors on this model, I gotta say, it's really not my favorite. I really don't like the color scheme on it. It's mostly just a very bright green color for most of the body, and then you just have some brown along the top of the backs, and the plates and shoulder spikes are painted brown, and underneath it, the stomach is a cream color. But I just feel like the green is just way too much. It's just too plain and flat looking. Like if you look at the box right here, you can see it has a little bit of a dark wash on it to really highlight those scales and wrinkles, and I just feel like this paint app just makes the figure look like a cheap, like dollar store dinosaur toy. Just, I don't know, I just really just don't like all that bright green. I kind of just wish there was just a little bit of a wash over it just to break it up. So other than me not liking the color scheme, I do love everything else about this figure. It has a lot of nice detail on it. It's a very accurate figure. Let's start with that head right here. Luxie had a wider, broader head than most stegosaur species. Like I said, this is a very primitive stegosaur. It actually had a few teeth in its premaxillary, which is the front part of the jaw. Later on, stegosaurs lost those teeth, which end up forming a toothless beak. There is a lot of nice detail in the face. You can clearly see the nostrils right here, and the mouth. The eye is just painted in all black, and those plates along its back are just beautifully sculpted. A lot of nice detail on those plates, and same thing with the shoulder spikes. A lot of detail on those shoulder spikes right here. And another cool thing is you have to look really closely on this model. They actually have a row of osteoderms along the flank right here. You can see them right here. They're not painted in. You can see them a little bit better along the back right here. This species of stegosaur actually did have a couple rows of osteoderms going along the side of that body. So that's a really cool touch by PNSO to include these on this model. And moving down to the legs and feet, you can see a lot more nicely sculpted folds, wrinkles, and scales. The toe claws are not painted on this model at all. And you can also see some of that cream coloring is coming up along the sides of the legs right here to kind of break up that green. From a distance, this figure is just way too green. Like I said earlier, it just gives it a really cheap toy look. And then going down the tail right here, this is my favorite touch on the model. When I took this figure out of the package, I was just looking it over, getting ready for the review, and the tip of the tail is very short and rounded, and normally you don't really see that on most dinosaur figures. Usually the tail just ends in a nice tapered tip, and I thought it was kind of odd that this was rounded like that, so I started researching this stegosaur a little bit more, and come to find out that there was actually a little club at the tip of the tail, and I never knew that about this species of dinosaur, and I think that's a really cool touch by PNSO. It just shows you how much research that goes into these very accurate dinosaur models that they make. So kudos to PNSO, great job. I learned something new reviewing this model, just to look up what this little knob was, so pretty cool. So let's put Luxie down for a second. We're going to move on to some comparisons with some other stegosaur figures from other companies and see how this figure stacks up against them. Alright, first up is another PNSO figure. This is their Huayangosaurus figure, which came with their Huayangosaurus 2-pack diorama, and you can see this figure is a lot bigger. In real life, these two animals were probably roughly the same size, so obviously they do not scale with each other. And next up is another stegosaur, Dacentruus, which is from the Batat collection. This is one of the newer Batats that came out a few years ago at Target. I think you could still find this figure there. It is definitely a cool stegosaur figure to pick up. And next up is one of the old retired Carnegie collection figures. This is the Marigaya, which is a really bizarre and cool looking stegosaur. This is definitely one of my favorite stegosaur figures of all time. And last but not least is the new Safari 2019 Stegosaurus, which is an absolutely fantastic looking Stegosaurus model. Definitely one of the most accurate Stegosaurus on the market right now. So final thoughts on this figure. My biggest complaint is the color scheme. I just don't like it. It makes it look too cheap and toy-like. But other than that, I think it's a really, really great figure that I do recommend picking up. The accuracy is really good on this, and like I said, that little touch at the tip of the tail to give it that little club-like look is absolutely fantastic on PNSO's part. That's what really, really sold me on this model when I found that out about it. So yeah, I do recommend you pick this figure up, and if you're good at repainting, repaint this figure. It definitely can use it. I ended up ordering mine from Amazon. They sell all 6 figures together. It comes to $39.99. If you want to get them singly, best bet is probably just going to eBay or AliExpress, and I'm sure Everything Dinosaur are going to get these in shortly, and I don't know if they're going to sell them singly. I haven't checked with them yet, but I have a feeling I think they will probably end up selling these figures singly instead of one set like Amazon is doing. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to order these figures off of Amazon. So that will do it for the review. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously. The channel is growing great right now. I appreciate everyone that is subscribing. I love doing this, and I love talking with everyone after the reviews in the comments. So really, each subscription really, really helps the channel out big time, and I'll greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys for the next one.